For the adults, Jesus gets invited to a banquet, a little dinner party. Easiest way for you to picture this thing is to think of, sort of an upper middle class house and, kind of a bit of a lavish dinner party. Something like that would get you some sense of what's going on here. Because this Pharisee probably was well off and he invited other well off people to be with him. So kind of a nice thing to be invited to. But after Jesus is being there, he gives some advice, teaches a lesson or two, first to all the people, but then later to just the host. And that's the part I wanted to talk about a little bit. Because it's interesting. He just basically tells the host, hey, I think you've invited the wrong people to your party. You have invited people like you. You've invited your friends, your family, wealthy neighbors. And Jesus says, you really shouldn't do that. You should invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. I don't know for a fact because it's not in the scripture, but I can just picture this Pharisee looking at Jesus with this really blank expression on his face thinking, what are you talking about? Like, why would I do that? That doesn't even make any sense. And so it's worth taking a look at Jesus' logic. He's just sort of noticing reality. And indeed, lots of people here, I think you and I can appreciate what Jesus is getting at. We do something for someone. Have a little party, invite people over, whatever it happens to be. And we don't say it, but there is somehow an unspoken expectation that they're going to do something for us. You might even sense this better the other way around. If you have been invited to something or someone does something nice for you, you have this sense of debt. I owe them something. Why, is that not something that gets played out by bringing something to the party, bringing something to the dinner? When I was growing up, it was common you were supposed to go get a bottle of wine and bring it. It was a way to sort of preemptively pay off the debt that you had been invited to this place. But if you think about this, again, I think it's all very subtle, but do you not get into this kind of endless sort of bookkeeping deal? This person did this for me. Oh, I got to remember I need to do something for them. Oh, I did this for these other people. They owe me. They're off my list right now. I mean, you're just constantly having to think about this and process this. And it is all about us. In other words, we're the focus of all this. It's sort of like, not that we're doing it this way, but it's sort of like this ledger book. And, who gave me what? What did I give them? How am I doing? Because we would, of course, want at the bottom to end up turning a profit, if you will. And Jesus seems to be thinking, you should do something about this. You should break that cycle. And he's got this really interesting way of doing it. He just basically says to the guy, why don't you just do things for people who can't pay you back? There's no way they could possibly do it. So why don't you invite blind, crippled, lame people to your party? They'll never be able to pay you back. You have no expectation of it. You can just have the party. Enjoy the party. Enjoy them. And you'll be done. That'll be the end of it. So I don't know how this is sounding to you, but you would not be the first. I would join you in this. Years ago, I remember coming across this story and thinking to myself, I don't know any blind, lame, crippled, poor people. Like, I used to throw dinner parties, and even if I wanted to invite people like that, I wouldn't have known who to invite. All I knew were people kind of like me, friends, family, things like that. And so it really is quite the quandary. You might say, well, how could I actually do this? In other words, how can I take Jesus' general principle and do something about it? And so if you allow me, let me offer you just quickly 3 little categories, if you will. The first is just doing acts of kindness or service anonymously. Some of you may remember a few years ago, I don't know, I suppose it's still a thing where it was called random acts of kindness. They would suggest, say, for example, that as you're going through the drive-thru, you pay for your own and then pay for the person behind you, something like that. Those people wouldn't know that you did it, but since they didn't really know you, they wouldn't be in any way possible to repay you. And that might be one way of living this out, is to do acts of kindness and just make sure as best you can do them anonymously. You could also, with a little more effort, I think, sort of be creative about this. I was wondering if you could perhaps think of things that you do now for friends and relatives that could be done for other people. So just to give you an example, supposing you happen to be one of those people that you own a fishing boat and it is your custom, you enjoy it, you invite people out on the boat, but you typically invite friends, family, people you know, of course. So, but if you thought about it, you might say, well, I could go and talk to Jose, the new youth minister here, and say to Jose, you know, I love fishing. I would love to share this with people. You got a couple teens that have never been fishing? You get them together, maybe 3, 4 of them, and you can bring them, and we'll go out on the boat, and we'll teach them to fish. What a great idea. And certainly that is something those kids can't repay you. And so maybe it is a question of thinking of things we already do and just see, is there another audience? If you happen to be one of those people where you enjoy throwing parties, things like that, you got a cookout planned for tomorrow, which I hope the weather will accommodate you. Did you ever consider that you could take that talent you have and do it for people like, say, elderly people in care facilities? Perhaps you just talk to the program director at some place and say, hey, I love doing this stuff. Do you think it would make sense to do a little party for just one wing or something like that? It is a way that you and I could live this out. The third is just in your giving. It's not likely that you would have thought of it this way, but some of our giving, we do get something out of it. Many of us have gone to auctions or galas where, yes, you're donating money to the charity, but you're also getting a lovely evening out of it. And even here, as you graciously each week put money in the basket, you are paying in part for the air conditioning that we enjoy. Grateful for that, by the way. And so we are, in some of our giving, we do get the stuff, we get things back from it, but that's not true of all our giving. And so maybe if we focused a little more on those moments when we have an opportunity to give and know we'll not get anything back. And if you allow me to bring up the school, you know, we're just a couple weeks away from starting the capital campaign. We're going to ask people to give money to help pay for the cost of the school. And whether you give a lot or a little, that's not really the point. The point would be it's a chance for you to live this out. Because whatever you give, you're never going to get paid back for it. Years and years from now, kids that you and I don't even know yet, they're going to benefit from that school. And that, as Jesus puts it, that's going to be your reward. You're going to get rewarded in the resurrection, because you were willing at this point in your life to help kids you didn't even know were going to be there. And so that's a third way. And maybe if we just sort of focus a little of our giving on situations where we know we're not going to get anything back. I don't know how you hear this. I suspect there are some of you, maybe many of you, I'm not telling you anything new. you do a lot of this stuff already. And so in that case, I just hope maybe these thoughts have been an encouragement to you, maybe to think, oh, wow, I'm on the right track, or maybe I could do a little better. And there might be some of you in here, you would be like that Pharisee that was the host of Jesus, that he's just like, I'm not sure I get this. And if you are that way, that's fine. I just kind of hope you'd be willing to think it out. You should be willing to think about Jesus' point and what he's trying to get you and I to do. Because it really does come down to a choice of who are you living for? Are you living for yourself? Or are you living for other people? And while every ounce of our society pretty much tells us, oh, you definitely want to live for yourself. That is the way to be happy. That's the way to get ahead. Jesus always tells us the opposite. He says, if you want to have a great life, an amazing life, you need to live it for other people. And this would just be one more way for you and I to just live for other people.